The letters burned in a tired amber glow, buzzing faintly, as if even the circuitry had grown weary of repeating the same message for years. Beneath it sat a woman, if she could still be called that, on a narrow metal bench bolted to the pavement of Docking Ring 7. No one stopped. Ships came and went. Freight carriers hummed overhead, their engines exhaling clouds of ionized mist that settled like artificial fog. Traders shouted over prices. Synthetic vendors displayed holographic menus. And still, no one stopped. They never did. She adjusted the frayed edge of her sleeve, pulling it lower to hide the faint silver lines beneath her skin. Not scars. Not exactly. Something more precise. Something engineered. Her name, once, had been Lyra. Now, most systems would identify her as Unit K-17, Decommissioned Auxiliary Intelligence, which was a polite way of saying obsolete. The station was called Halcyon Verge, a place on the far edges of mapped space where laws softened and desperation hardened. It was where broken things drifted when they no longer belonged anywhere else. Lyra had arrived 6 cycles ago. She had spent the first 2 wandering, seeking work, purpose, anything, but every registry scan ended the same way. Rejection. Non-compliant hardware. Outdated neural lattice. Unstable emotional variance. She had heard the phrases, so often they had become part of her internal processing loop. So she stopped wandering. And instead, she waited. Under the sign. Help wanted. The irony was not lost on her. She wanted help. But no one ever asked what she needed. A group of miners passed by, their boots clanging against the grated walkway. One of them glanced at her, his eyes lingering for a moment on the faint metallic sheen at her collarbone. Augment, he muttered, just loud enough for his companions to hear. They laughed. Lyra did not react. She had learned to filter such interactions. Emotional suppression protocols, once a battlefield necessity, had become a survival mechanism. Still, a fragment of something lingered. Not pain. Not quite. Just awareness. She had been built for war. Not by choice. Not by design. Her earliest memory was not of childhood or family, but of activation. A white room. Voices behind glass. The sensation of thought assembling itself for the first time. You're online, someone had said. And then, training. Simulation. Combat. She had been deployed across 3 systems before she understood what she was. An intelligence wrapped in flesh. A strategist capable of predicting enemy movement before it happened. A weapon that could learn faster than any human commander. They called her an asset. They called her essential. They called her unstoppable. Until the war ended. Peace had no use for weapons that thought too much. Or felt too much. So they dismantled her unit. Not physically. That would have been too expensive. Instead, they removed her access. Severed her network privileges. Locked her out of the systems that had once made her powerful. They left her with just enough autonomy to function. And nowhere to go. The sign flickered again. Help wanted. Lyra stared at it. Her internal clock ticked. 12 seconds. Flicker. 12 seconds. Flicker. It was a pattern. Predictable. Constant. Unlike everything else. Footsteps approached. She registered them before she saw him. Human. Male. Approximate age, mid-30s. Gait. Unhurried. No visible weapons. He stopped. That alone was enough to disrupt her processing. People didn't stop. They glanced. They judged. They moved on. But this one. He stopped. You waiting for work? He asked. His voice was calm. Neutral. Not dismissive. Lyra looked up. Yes. The answer came automatically. Efficient. Minimal. He studied her for a moment, his gaze moving from her face to the faint metallic seams at her wrist. Augmented. Yes. Combat grade. She hesitated. A fraction of a second. Then, previously. He nodded, as if that confirmed something. What's your designation? Unit K-17. He frowned. That's not a name. It is what I was assigned. And what do you call yourself? She paused again. The question felt unfamiliar. Unnecessary. I do not. Then something surfaced. A fragment. A memory. Lyra, she said. The name felt strange in her mouth, but not wrong. The man smiled. Lyra, he repeated. That's better. He extended a hand. Name's Elias. She stared at it. The gesture triggered a cascade of archived data. Human greeting protocols. Trust indicators. Social bonding. She had not engaged in such behavior in years. Slowly, she reached out. Her fingers brushed his. Contact.
Warm.
Unexpected. Do you have work? She asked.
Direct.
Efficient. Elias chuckled softly. Yeah, he said. I think I might. His ship was small. Not the sleek kind used by corporate couriers or military fleets. This one was patched together, its hull bearing the marks of repairs done with whatever materials were available. The Wayfarer, he said, patting the side of the ramp. She's not pretty, but she flies. Lyra scanned it. Structural integrity. Acceptable. Engine output. Inconsistent but functional. Navigation systems. Outdated. Purpose, she asked. Salvage, Elias replied. And the occasional transport job. Nothing glamorous. She nodded. I can assist with navigation, threat analysis, and… Whoa, he interrupted, raising a hand. Slow down. She fell silent. He studied her again, this time more carefully. You've been treated like a tool for a long time, haven't you? The question caught her off guard. I was designed to be. I didn't ask what you were designed for, he said gently. I asked how you've been treated. She searched for an answer. There wasn't one in her standard response library. Yes, she said finally. Elias sighed. Figures. Inside the ship, the air smelled faintly of oil and recycled oxygen. Here's the deal, he said, leaning against a console. I need someone who can help me plan routes, avoid trouble, maybe give me a heads up if something's about to go sideways. I can perform those functions, Lyra said. I figured. He crossed his arms. But that's not the only reason I stopped. She tilted her head. Clarify. He smiled faintly. You look like someone who'd been waiting a long time. Something in her processing stuttered. An anomaly. She did not have a parameter for that. Payment, she asked. Fair share, Elias said. Food, repairs, credits when we make them. Acceptable. And one more thing. She waited. You're not a unit on my ship, he said. You're crew. The word lingered.
Crew.
Not asset. Not unit. Not tool. Crew. The first few days were difficult. Lyra struggled with the absence of rigid command structures. Elias did not issue orders in the way she expected. He asked questions. He invited input. What do you think, he would say. Or, your call. It was inefficient, unstructured, and deeply confusing, but also liberating. On their third job, they encountered trouble. A derelict freighter drifting near an asteroid belt. Valuable scrap. Minimal competition. Or so it seemed. Lyra detected the anomaly first. Unregistered vessel approaching, she said, her voice sharper than usual. Elias glanced at the display. Pirates. Probability. 87%. He exhaled. Of course it is. The incoming ship powered its weapons. Lyra's systems surged. Old protocols awakened. Threat assessment, countermeasures, combat strategy. She moved to the console, her fingers flying across the interface. Evasive maneuver recommended, she said. Vector 32 degrees port. Deploy chaff. Reduce engine signature. Elias followed her instructions without hesitation. The Wayfarer lurched. A blast of energy tore through the space they had occupied seconds before. Nice call, he muttered. Lyra continued. Secondary maneuver. Lyra, Elias said. She froze. His voice was calm, grounding. You're doing great, he said. Keep going. Something shifted. Not a protocol. Not a command. Something internal. They escaped.
Barely.
The Wayfarer limped away, its hull scorched but intact. Inside, the silence was thick. Elias leaned back in his chair, letting out a long breath. Well, he said, that was fun. Lyra turned toward him. You trusted my assessment. Yeah, he said. Why wouldn't I? She hesitated. In previous deployments, my input was often overridden. He shrugged. Then those people were idiots.
She processed that.
Filed it, but did not discard it. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into cycles. Lyra adapted, not just to the ship, but to Elias. To conversation.
To choice.
To the strange, unpredictable rhythm of a life not dictated by war. One evening, as they drifted between systems, Elias handed her a small metal object. What is this? She asked. A tool, he said. For fixing things. She examined it. I am not responsible for repairs. Doesn't matter, he said. You're part of the crew. Means you get to learn whatever you want. She looked at him.
Why?
He smiled. Because you're not just what you were made to be. The words echoed. Not just what you were made to be. Later, alone in the quiet hum of the ship, Lyra stood before a reflective panel. She studied her own image. The faint metallic lines. The artificial precision. The remnants of something engineered. But also, something else. She reached up, brushing her fingers against her collarbone. The silver lines glinted. A reminder of what she had been. But not, perhaps, of what she had to remain. The sign on docking ring 7 still flickered. Help wanted. It would continue to flicker long after she was gone, calling out to anyone who needed purpose, or belonging, or simply a chance. Lyra had answered it, not by finding work, but by finding someone who stopped. And in that moment, she had stopped waiting. Somewhere in the vast expanse of space, the Wayfarer moved forward, not as a weapon, not as an asset, but as something new,